In this video, we'll talk about beneficial fungi. So this is the good fungus. One example of beneficial fungi includes yeast. So yeast go through an anaerobic process known as fermentation. And we use the benefit of this fermentation in our baking. So we add yeast to dough in order to make it rise. And one of the products of this anaerobic respiration is that it can produce alcohol and carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide gas is actually what causes the dough to fluff up. So the yeast inside the dough are producing this gas and it's actually creating air inside the dough. Yeast can also be used for brewing, so things like beer, also winemaking, and making cheese. So this is a picture of blue cheese here, and this blue kind of veining throughout it is actually a fungus. Some fungi are also edible. Now, not all of them are edible. Some of them are toxic and will kill you, but a lot of them are edible. And so some examples include morels, which you can see here, portobello mushrooms, chanterelles. We've got our button mushrooms over here. And these mushrooms provide us with nutrients and energy. Some fungi produce compounds that are also beneficial to plants and animals. For example, fungi produce some of the antibiotics that we use. Penicillin, the first antibiotic that was actually discovered accidentally when a fungus infected a petri dish that had bacteria growing in it, and the scientists noticed that the fungus was killing off the bacteria. Cephalosporins are another kind of group of antibiotics that are produced by fungi. Some other drugs and chemicals produced by fungi include cyclosporin, which is an immunosuppressant, ergot alkaloids, which can be used to help stop bleeding, and psilocybin, which is actually a hallucinogenic drug or compound. And psilocybin is really interesting. So this is what we mostly associate with magic mushrooms. And in the past, it was mostly associated with kind of like hippie culture and drug use. And so people would they would eat these hallucinogenic mushrooms in order to get high. But there's actually a lot of really interesting research that's going on looking at the use of psilocybin for mental health treatment. And even like Johns Hopkins University has a psilocybin kind of research group looking into this. And there are some promising studies saying that it might be able to be used to treat PTSD along with other mental health disorders, including schizophrenia and depression and anxiety. Fungi can also be involved in bioremediation. So fungi can help to break down oil or absorb heavy metals. And so this helps to remove toxins from the environment. And remember when we talked about prokaryotes, bacteria can also be involved in bioremediation. So it's possible that bioremediation might include a variety of organisms all working together in order to clean up the toxins. Fungi are also beneficial as research organisms. So remember that fungi are eukaryotic, and other organisms that are eukaryotic include animals, which includes humans, and also plants. So by studying fungi, they're actually more closely related to other eukaryotes than they are to bacteria. So studying fungi can actually give us more insights into eukaryotic kind of structures and functions and disorders than if we were to only study bacteria. So fungi can be involved in genetics research because once again, some of the genetics are similar to the eukaryotic genetics found in animals and plants. Fungi can also be used in biotechnology as a recombinant gene. So this is essentially a gene that gets mixed in with another gene. And so it could be that a gene from another organism gets inserted into the fungal genome, or a gene from the fungus gets inserted into the genome of another organism. Fungi also grow really easily in culture, and remember, culture just means that it is grown in the lab. And they have a short generation time, which means that they reproduce quickly, which means that you can see things like evolution in a shorter amount of time than if you were studying humans, for example, which take, maybe 20 years in order to reproduce and produce the next generation.